Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So today we're going to discuss mock test 8 of art and culture. So I hope you have followed these sessions closely. Uh, if you haven't, please join the Telegram channel and write mock test 7 and mock test 6, which are both related to art and culture, right? So today we'll be discussing mock test 8, which is mostly covering the portions like architecture, performing arts, folk arts, etc. Okay, so straight away go to the questions. Answer the following statements about Odissi dance. That is our first question related to Odissi dance. Okay, so first one is Tribhanga posture is innate to Odissi. Tribhanga posture is innate to Odissi. That is correct. Okay, Tribhanga posture is one of the most important postures in Odissi. It is one of the essential features of Odissi. And more importantly, UPSC has already asked a question regarding this. So this is correct. Second one, the dancers create intricate geometrical shapes and patterns with their body. Third one, it closely follows the tenets laid down by Natya Shastra. Now, if you look at these statements, the dancers create intricate geometrical shapes and patterns. Now, this is true of almost all the classical dance. This is a very generic statement. So, remember that. Okay. Remember this, that such generic statements, okay, are likely to be correct because all the classical dances in India are highly related to Natya Shastra. Okay, all of them create geometrical shapes and patterns, right? So this, although that this is more specific, this is a specific statement related to ODC. This cannot be rolled out as a general statement for any classical dance. So 2 and 3 are correct. 1 is also correct. So the answer is 1, 2, and 3. Right? Now question number 2. Consider following pairs: folk music and state. This is the dominant pattern regarding folk arts in UPSC right now. You will be asked a folk art and a state. Okay, and you will be able to you'll be able to match it, or you should be able to identify the correct pairs. Right. So baul song is a dance. Music form from the eastern parts of India. Okay, specifically West Bengal. Right. So baul is not from Gujarat. Okay, Gujarat is in West India, and the other one is baul song is from Eastern India. The other pairs, Mand, Rajasthan, Pai song, Madhya Pradesh, Pandavani, Chhattisgarh, they are all correct. So which means that our answer is 2, 3, and 4. C. Correct. Question number 3. Which among the following combinations as a whole are included in UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage? Right, you should be very clear with the basic features of all the items on intangible cultural heritage list. Okay, here the answer is Kumbh Mela, Kalbelia, right? Kumbh Mela, Kalbelia is there. Then Raman is also there. Okay, so 1, 3, and 5 is there. Okay, is Ras Leela part of intangible cultural heritage list? No. Remember this Ram Leela. Small difference. One letter can make a lot of difference in UPSC. So Ras Leela is not part of intangible cultural heritage list. It is Ram Leela. Ras Leela is related to Krishna mythology. Ram Leela is related to the Ramayana. So both are different things, right? So 1, 3, and 5 is there. 4 is a tricky area. Please be careful about such small differences in UPSC. Read the question carefully. That is why we always recommend you to read the question carefully, write down the last letter. So 1, 3, and 5. A. Question number 4 is regarding puppetry. Okay, puppetry form of Tamil Nadu combines techniques of both rod and string puppets. Puppets are made of wood. A few puppets have jointed arms and hands, which are manipulated by rods. Basically, here you are asked to match it with a state. Okay, you are given the state from Tamil Nadu. Okay, you must be able to know the details of, the locations of each of the puppetries. Okay, don't go after intricacies of each puppetry performance. That is not required. Okay, so here the rest of the description is not really required. What you need to know is from where the puppetry is and what type of puppetry is it. Okay, basic details only. Do not go into how it's performed and everything. So keep it to the basic minimum. So here the answer is Bommalattam. C. Right, Gombayata is from Karnataka, Kathputli is from Rajasthan, Kunda is from Odisha. All are string puppets. Okay, so you should be able to identify which are string puppets, rod puppets. Right? Only those information is required. Now consider question number 5. Consider following statements regarding Chow dance. Okay, Chow dance. Chow dance is a dance form from Western India. Okay, it is a vast dance from Western India. Is that correct? No. Where is Chow? Chow is in Eastern India. Okay, you have Chow in West Bengal, Jharkhand, and Odisha. Okay, you have three types of Chow: Purulia Chow and what? Mayurbhanj Chow. Okay, Purulia Chow is from West Bengal. Okay, then Mayurbhanj Chow is from Odisha. Then you have another one from Jharkhand known as Saraikela Chow. Okay, and the Saraikela Chow and Purulia Chow are both masked dancers. Mayurbhanj is not masked dance. Anyway, it is from Eastern India, so that is incorrect. General theme of dances, mythological stories, that is correct. But that is also another general statement because almost 99% of dances in India are based on mythological themes. Okay, so you cannot really say it is incorrect in 99% of the cases. So one is incorrect, two is correct. So B, two only. Right. Now question number 6 is regarding martial arts. Now we have already given a handout clearly giving you the 4 cards of India. In that, last 4 pages are dedicated to various martial arts traditions. Okay, so you have what? Tangtha, which is from Manipur. Okay, UPSC has asked questions from this. So Tangtha is from Manipur. Katka is from Punjab. Silambam is from our neighboring state, Tamil Nadu. Silambam is from Tamil Nadu. So this is incorrect. This is incorrect. First one and third one are incorrect. The answer is 2 only. Okay, the answer is 2 only. Question number 7. Consider following statements about cave architecture in India. Cave architecture in India. Mauryan period saw the emergence of rock cut architecture in India. Okay, Mauryan period saw the emergence of rock cut architecture in India. That is correct. We had discussed this. We had said that Mauryan period is the beginning of rock cut architecture. Right? We started with Barabar caves. Okay. Second one, Lomas Rishi cave was constructed during Mauryan period. That is also correct. Okay. Both the statements are linked because first caves in India are from Mauryan period. And what is that? Those caves? Lomas Rishi cave. Okay, Lomas Rishi cave, or also called as Barabar caves. Barabar is the name of the hill. There are multiple caves in that hill. Okay, one of them, most famous of them is Lomas Rishi. Okay, now Lomas Rishi is famous for. This picture is given in the NCERT. Famous for an arch in the front. Okay, and which this arch became the model for the cave architecture throughout India, especially in the western parts of India. Lomas Rishi was in Bihar, but most of the caves later period was in Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra region. Many of them have similar arches, just like Lomas Rishi cave. That is the importance of Lomas Rishi cave. So most statements are correct. Right, now question number 8. Question number 8. Consider following statements regarding various styles of sculpture of ancient period. Sculpture of ancient period. So Gandhara style assimilates Hellenistic as well as Parthian styles into local tradition. So remember this, Gandhara style was in northwest, okay, northwestern parts of India, where there was a confluence of cultures. Like you had the Parthian styles, you had the Bactrian Greek style, okay, Greek styles. Then Parthian style was from West Asia. Then you had Persian styles, okay, Achaemenid style or Persian styles. So all of these styles came together to create this local tradition called Gandhara tradition. From all these foreign influences, Indian style merged, clearly given in NCERT, Achaemenid style or Persian style, Parthian style, then Hellenistic or Bactrian Greek style, all of them joined to Gandhara style. Okay, so generally we only talk about Greek influence, but when we say Hellenistic, there are a lot of traditions involved. Okay, then Amaravati school was patronized by Shatavahana rulers. That is correct. South India was the place for Amaravati school of architecture. This was in post-Mauryan period. And who controlled South India and post-Mauryan period, especially the Deccan region, Andhra region? Shatavahanas. So you can make that relation. Shatavahanas were the ones who created or patronized Amaravati school of architecture. Correct. Buddha is often depicted with a halo in Madras school of art. Correct. Okay. What is halo? The divine light. Okay. Depiction of divine light behind the head of Buddha. Prominent feature, just like another prominent feature mentioned in NCERT is Abhaya Mudra. Okay. Abhaya Mudra, in which Buddha is blessing or giving solace to all the beings on earth. Okay. That is another prominent features generally seen in many of the Madras sculptures. So this halos, Abhaya Mudra. Okay. So general features. So 1, 2, and 3, they are all correct. So answer is D. Clear? Question number 9. In Ajanta paintings are themed around both Jainism and Buddhism. Okay. Bagh Caves in Madhya Pradesh has Buddhist mural paintings. Okay. Now, in case of Buddhist cave paintings, 2 caves in India, you must definitely know. Ajanta, definitely. Bagh Caves. Okay. Bagh Caves were created towards the later period of Buddhist traditions. Sorry, later period of Gupta period. Now, both of them contain Buddhist paintings. They are Buddhist caves. Okay. Remember that. Ajanta is exclusively Buddhist. Bagh is also Buddhist. Okay. And they are both famous for cave paintings. Like many of the caves in Western India, in general, are Buddhist. For example, you know, Karle caves. Okay. Karle caves, then Kanheri caves. Okay. All in Maharashtra. They are all Buddhist. Okay. Then Baja caves. Okay. Baja caves in Maharashtra. Again, Buddhist. Bagh caves, Buddhist. Ajanta caves, Buddhist. Some of the later caves like Elephant or Ellora, they are all Hindu or Jain. Okay. Or a mixture of Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain. Right? Maharashtra region, many of the more famous caves are exclusively Buddhist. Right? Anyway, so both of them are correct. So answer is C. Both 1 and 2. Okay. Now question number 10. Consider following statements about Nagara School of Architecture. Okay, Nagara School of Architecture. First statement is earliest examples of this style dates back to Gupta period. Okay, dates back to Gupta period. There are, so Nagara School of Architecture, the period of standing temples began from Gupta period. Okay, there are many examples of this. Okay, so the many of the features of Gupta period were set in this period. Okay, right. So continuing, so earliest examples of Nagara School of Architecture began to date back to the Gupta period. Okay, you have basically temples in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Okay, there are a couple of temples, right? Most of famous of these temples is Dashavadara temple in Deogir in Uttar Pradesh. Okay, that is the most famous temple. Couple of pictures are given in Gupta NCRT. Okay, so that is the earliest examples where there were small temples, but many of the stylistic features of Nagara style were set during the Gupta period. For example, you have Panchayatan style, where you have a single main shrine and subsidiary shrines, 4 subsidiary shrines. All of these styles were set during Gupta period. So that is correct. Second one, water tanks were essential to temples in this style of architecture. Water tanks were essential to temples in this style of architecture. That is also correct. So that is incorrect. Okay. Dravida temple structures generally had water tanks. Now in Nagara style, water tanks were not essential. Some of the Nagara styles, for example, Gujarat style or Solanki style, had water tanks, but it was not an essential feature. It was only the big temples in Western India had such a feature. Okay. But on the other hand, most of the major Dravida temples have this concept of water tanks. So that is incorrect. Okay. Then Solanki style is considered as a subschool of Nagara style. Yes. Okay. Stylistically, region-wise, you have at the peak of Nagara architecture, you had Solanki style. You had the Kalinga style in Odisha, and in between, in central India, you had the Khajuraho style. Okay. So Solanki, Khajuraho, and the Kalinga or Odisha style. These were the 3 region-based styles of Nagara school. So 2 is incorrect, 1 is correct, 3 is correct. So answer is 1 and 3 only. Consider following statements about Natya in Indian dance. Okay, Natya in Indian dance. First one, Natya highlights the dramatic element of dance performance. That is correct. Okay, you have Natya, Nritya, and Nirta. Okay, Natya, Nritya, and Nirta. What do they mean? Natya is dramatic, Nirta is abstract dance. Okay, random dance patterns. Nritya is basically interpretative. They have a sort of meaning. Okay, so Natya, Nritya, and Nritya. Now again, just like the Bharata Muni statement, Natya Shastra statement that we had, always for classical dancers, generally generally all the 3 features are integral part of almost all the classical features dances in India. Okay, you cannot say that this feature is absent in a particular dance. Okay, that is nearly impossible. So Natya, Nritya, Natya I mean, Natya, Nrtta, and Nritya. These three are there in all the classical dances of India. Okay. So first one is correct. Second one is also correct. So answer is both 1 and 2. Answer is both 1 and 2. Okay. Consider following statements about Pallava architecture. Okay. Pallava architecture. So that Pallava architecture is actually the beginning of what temple, serious temple architecture in South India, okay, which reached its peak with Cholas and Hoysalas. Right. So Pallava architecture was the beginning of standing temples. All those what Guptas did in the north, Pallavas did in the south. Okay, they set a new style trend in South India regarding temple architecture. Right. So it is given in some detail in NCRTs and everything. So remember this. Pallava architecture, you might know that, began with Mahendravarman I, okay, who was a contemporary of Huansang, Harshavardhana, and Pulikeshi II, okay, the Chalukya king. He had a rivalry with them. So Pallava architecture began during this period. Okay, early architecture, like cave temples, were often built during the period of Mahendravarman I. Second phase began with Narasimhavarman I, who was the son of Mahendravarman I, who built large parts of today's Mahabalipuram structures, like your Pancharathas. Okay, all of them came during Narasimhavarman I, okay, who was also known as Mamala Narasimhan, and his name, the city of Mahabalipuram, gets the name from him. Okay. Anyway, so Mahendravarman I, Narasimhavarman I, these were the main constructors. So it began during Mahendravarman I. Now the peak was reached during Narasimhavarman II. Okay, Narasimhavarman II was the successor of Narasimhavarman I. It was during his period that the biggest marvel of Pallava architecture, the shore temple at Mahabalipuram, was constructed. A shore temple was constructed during Narasimhavarman II. Right. So Mahendravarman I was the beginner. Narasimhavarman II was the, we can say that, a peak. That is a very relative statement, but the peak was reached during Narasimhavarman II. You can say like that. So this statement is incorrect. Okay. Second one, the temples at Halabad are an example of early Pallava architecture. Incorrect. Okay. Halabad, also known as Dwara Samudra. Okay. Also known as Dwara Samudra, was the capital of Hoysalas. Okay. And the temples there are constructed by Hoysala dynasty. Okay. They have their own very intricately carved style of temple architecture with lots of sculptures. Right. So that is incorrect. Okay. 1 is incorrect. 2 is incorrect. Answer is neither 1 nor 2. Okay. Question number 13. With reference to Indo-Saracenic architecture, which are the following statements each are correct? Okay. Now, first statement is it represents the synthesis of Muslim designs and Indian materials. That is correct. Okay. So what is Indo-Saracenic? Generally, Indo-Saracenic architecture is attributed to early British architecture in India in the towards the end of 1700s, when British India had taken control of Madras and Bengal and Bombay presidencies. They began to construct new buildings there. So it was a mixture of Indian designs, Muslim designs. Took inspiration from Mughal designs, Maratha designs, Buddhist architecture. Everything was fused together with some European influence also. Okay, so you can see a lot of buildings in Madras. Then in Mumbai, even Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus took some can be called as Indo-Saracenic architecture. Right. So synthesis of Muslim design and Indian materials. Okay. Then early British architecture, an example is an example of Indo-Saracenic style. That is correct. Okay. So basically early company buildings in India. Now, I just want to remind you, NCRT has sort of when it defines Indo-Saracenic architecture, it actually seems to mean Indo-Muslim architecture also. It has included the Indo-Muslim architecture under the same name. Okay, or they have said that like this is an alternate name for Indo-Muslim architecture. So right, but most of the texts outside they say that it began with early British architecture. So there is that slight problem. Anyway, remember this: early British architecture in India is definitely called the Saracenic architecture, and it has infusions from Muslim designs and Indian designs. Okay. So both statements are correct. Now, question number 14, straight question. Vallabhai, Famsana, and Latina Okay, Vallabhi, Famsana, and Latina are types of Shigara in Nagara temples. Types of Shigara in Nagara temples. Okay, so I had earlier said that you can divide Nagara temples by geographical regions. Another way of doing it is by the type of Shigara. This is the classification given in NCERT mainly. Okay, Vallabhi, Famsana, and Latina. It depends on the shape of Shigaras or the what sort of the roof over Garbhagriha. Okay, Garbhagriha is the sanctum sanctorum, or the place where deity is kept. The Vigraha is kept, and above that there is a roof. Okay, so Vallabhi, Famsana, Latina, these are all types of Shikara. Okay, right? Now, question number 15. Which among the following is not part of Agra Fort complex? This is something that you should know. I had told you to go through the buildings in Fatehpur Sikri. UPSC has asked multiple times regarding Fatehpur Sikri. You must have a clear idea of the buildings in Fatehpur Sikri, right? Panch Mahal is one of the most famous buildings in Fatehpur Sikri. Why? Because it is a building. It has 5 floors, and it is inspired from the Buddhist architecture. Okay, the design of Panch Mahal seems to have been inspired by the Buddhist architecture, and it is located in Fatehpur Sikri. It is an example of Akbar's assimilation of Indian styles into Mughal architecture. Okay, here highly inspired by Indian style of architectures. Okay, then some of the other buildings in Fatehpur Sikri, like you have Salim Chishti's tomb. You have Buland Darwaza. Okay, those are the main buildings, right? Then Panch Mahal, okay, Ibadat Khana. These are all special buildings in Fatehpur Sikri. Okay. Some of the other buildings in Fatehpur Sikri are common to almost all the Mughal forts. For example, Diwani Am, Diwani Khas. Such buildings are generic buildings. Okay, those were there in Agra Fort, Red Fort, as well as Fatehpur Sikri. But these buildings, Panch Mahal, Buland Darwaza, Salim Chishti's tomb, right? Ibadat Khana, these are all special buildings in Fatehpur Sikri. They represent Akbar's thinking, right? So 15 answer is B. Okay, the other buildings are in Agra Fort. Okay. Question number 16. Consider following statements about Vijayanagara architecture. Canals and tanks were built for irrigation in the city of Vijayanagar. That is correct. Okay, NCERT. I have uploaded the NCERT chapter regarding Vijayanagar. It clearly says about the system of canals in Vijayanagar or the city of Hampi. Okay, Hampi was an alternate name for Vijayanagar. The city in ancient period was called as Vijayanagar. Later period, it came to be called as Hampi. Okay, so there is a system of irrigation, tanks, canals, okay, to store rainwater, because Hampi stood in a rain deficient region. So either rainwater was stored or water was brought in from Tungabhadra. That is correct. Then Lotus Mahal is an example of Vijayanagar architecture. Yes, there are a couple of very important secular buildings in Vijayanagar architecture, like in the city of Hampi. The most important examples are Lotus Mahal. Then you have Elephant Stables. There is a building known as Elephant Stables, and there is another building known as Lotus Mahal. These two are the most important secular buildings in Vijayanagar architecture. You must remember that. Then you have the set of temples: Virupaksha Temple, Vithala Temple, Hazari Rama Temple. Okay, these are all given in NCERTs. But the secular buildings, they are very unique. Okay, right? So that is correct. Okay, long halls called mandabas was part of temples in Vijayanagar Empire. That is also correct. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Question number 17. This ancient Indian city was located on the banks of river Krishna and was known as Vijaypuri. It has thrown up archaeological evidences of temples, stupas, and Buddhist monasteries. Part of these ruins were lost when the area was submerged due to construction of new dam identified the city. Okay, so the answer is Nagarjuna Konda. Okay, you might be knowing this, you might not be knowing this, but at least by using logic, you can cut a few options. Like, you know that Hampi is very much intact. You know that Pattadakal is intact. Okay, it is both are World Heritage sites. So highly unlikely these two are matching the description. Okay, right. And you already UPSC has asked regarding Hampi, which is on the banks of Tungabhadra. So you can rule out those two. Now Golconda. Okay, if you know that in Golconda, the most time periods was in medieval India. The most important phase of Golconda was during medieval India, when there was a kingdom based upon Bahmani kingdom from Golconda. So you can cut that too. Okay, at least even if you can't figure that out, you can at least you must be able to narrow it down to the two options. Hampi and Pattakal you should be able to rule out by logic, because they are very much intact. Okay, I've never heard of Hampi being taken away by a dam. Okay, Nagarjunakonda was submerged during the construction of Nagarjuna Sagar Dam. Okay, so some of the monuments were shifted, right? Some went underwater. Okay, question number 18. The painting style from Mithila region, use of powdered rice, traditionally done on mud floors and floors. Answer is Madhubani paintings. Okay, it is Mithila region is in Bihar. Okay, that Varli paintings. These are very important paintings that you should know. Okay, Varli paintings is from Maharashtra. Tribal paintings, okay, notable for their geometric patterns, and they have GI tag also. Okay, so Madhubani and Varli you must definitely know. Calicut, not so important. It's a company style of painting. Okay, it developed under company rule in Calcutta. Okay, Calcutta, there was a temple known as Calicut, which gave the name to the city. Okay, so Calicut paintings developed around the temple of Calicut in Calcutta, right? Company style of paintings, mixture of Indian and European styles, right? Madhubani and Varli are very important. You should know about it. Okay. Anyway, the answer here is Madhubani. Now, question number 19 is regarding Pahari School of Paintings. Okay, Pahari School of Paintings. So Pahari School, last year, in 2018, UPSC had asked regarding the Rajasthani School of Paintings. Okay. Now, another area UPSC has not explored yet, but could possibly explore is Pahari School of Paintings, which developed in the hill regions of Rajput states of Himalayan region. Okay, Himachal Pradesh and areas like that. So there are basically Pahari School specialty is that they are sort of post-Mughal period paintings. They are highly inspired by the Mughal paintings, combining both Mughal styles and indigenous styles. Okay. That is a specialty. Okay, there are many schools under Pahari schools. Okay. Most famous are Guler, Basholi, and Kangra. Okay. Remember these three names: Guler, Basholi, Kangra. These three are the most important sub schools. One of the specialties is that the dominant theme in most of these schools were that of Krishna and Radha. Okay. Krishna and Radha means Ras Leela. Okay. Ras Leela means there is erotic and romantic themes. The romance of Krishna and Radha was a dominant theme. Okay, so that is the answer to that question. 1 and 2 both are correct. Okay, so remember Guler, Basholi, Kangra, okay, and Champa. Okay, now there is one painter's name that you should know in Basholi school. Okay, in Basholi school, which was one of the most dominant schools in the early period of Pahari school. In Basholi school, most famous paintings were made by a person known as Nain Suk. Okay. Nain Suk. Okay. Nain Suk, he was a painter from Basholi school. That is a person that you should know. Okay. Otherwise, there are no real names that you should remember, but Nain Suk you should remember. Okay. And the themes were mostly Krishna and Radha. Okay. Especially themes from Gita Govinda of Jayadeva. They were also painted. Gita Govinda, mostly Krishna and Radha. Okay. Question number 20. With reference to ancient Indian knowledge, consider following statements. The concept of negative numbers are developed by early medieval period. Okay. The concept of surgery had been conceived in medical texts. When artifacts found in Indus Valley excavations gives the evidence of usage of copper. Now, so you can't possibly study all the ancient Indian knowledge, but you can solve it by logic. Okay. Concept of negative numbers, Indians had, you know that Indians had developed the concept of decimal points and zeros. So obviously that is a natural extension was negative numbers. Okay. Again, that was developed by early medieval period. That is correct. Okay. Then concept of surgery, Sushruta Samhita. You know that it has discussed surgery. That is also correct. Then Indus Valley excavations. Obviously, Indus Valley is a Bronze Age civilization. For creating bronze, you need copper. So that's also correct. Okay. Sometimes UPSC may ask questions regarding scientific knowledge. Okay. So remember this. Sometimes, whenever sometimes when questions are framed based on generic knowledge, to make it wrong, UPSC is likely to give you very extreme statements. For example, what? In case of medical knowledge, something very extreme will be given. Okay, for the concept of plastic surgery. Okay, something like that. Very extreme statements. But for making correct, it will be very simple statements. Okay, so remember that difference. Extreme statements are likely to be wrong. Extremely advanced scientific knowledge, that those will be given. Okay, so don't overthink it. Use your logic. Negative numbers, very basic mathematics must have been developed, because we had already developed 0, pi. Okay, pi. So people who know that should also know negative numbers. Simple logic. Okay, use that. So answer is 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So question number 21. Which of the following is not a work of Kalidasa? Okay. Not a work of Kalidasa. Answer is Mudra Rakshasa. Okay. Answer is Mudra Rakshasa. Right? Mudra Rakshasa is the work. Okay. Malavi Agnimitram, Vikramori Vishayam, Mega Sandesham. These are all famous works of Kalidasa. Mudra Rakshasa was written by Mudra Rakshasa was written by Vishagadatta. Okay. Vishagadatta. Okay, this is Mudra Rakshasa mainly deals with the rise of Chanakya and Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, that is the theme of Mudra Rakshasa. Okay, another famous work of Vishagadatta is Devi Chandragupta. Okay, Devi Chandragupta and Mudra Rakshasa are the most important works of Vishagadatta. You must know the works of Kalidasa mainly. Okay, if you know that, you could have eliminated this. Okay, works of Kalidasa you should know, because they represent the literary achievements of Gupta period. Okay. Now, question number 22. With reference to religious history of India, consider the following statements. Okay. Madhyamika and Yogacharya are sects of Buddhism. Okay. These are some of the most important schools in Mahayana Buddhism. Okay. Mahayana Buddhism, Madhyamika and Yogacharya. Okay. Madhyamika especially is the most important school. You can connect it. Madhyamika, I had discussed. Madhyamika was middle path. Okay. Buddhism talks about the middle path. And Madhyamika is the sort of expansion of that doctrine, middle path. Okay, and the main book of this school is known as, was written by Nagarjuna. Okay, and it was named Mula Madhyamaka Karika, which simply means the middle path. Okay, so Madhyamaka and Yogacharya both are schools of Buddhism. Okay, then Tharikatha contains a compilation of poems composed by Buddhist nuns. That is correct. Okay, Tharikatha is a very important work. It is given in NCERT. Tharikatha means it is important because it was composed by nuns. Okay, most of the works from ancient period are composed by men, but this work is which is one of a very important work from early Buddhist period. This was composed by early Buddhist nuns. Okay, women nuns. Okay, so that is correct. So answer is 2 only. Okay. Question number 23. He was a painter in the court of Jahangir, known for his fine illustration of flora and fauna of the period. He is best known for illustration of Dodo and Siberian crane. Identify the painter. That would be Ustad Mansoor. Okay. UPSC had in 2019 asked a questions from Mughal painting and the period of Jahangir. Now they may continue to expand that part, or they may take the previous year question from the Kishangarh school. They may go into the Pahari school. So those are the 2 ways in which UPSC can develop the trends in paintings. So remember this. In case of Mughal painting, first you had Akbar. During his period, most of the paintings were done as miniature paintings. Okay, they were part of either they were used for illustration of books. Okay, many books were composed during Akbar's period. So paintings became part of the books, and that was the main purpose. And the person who headed the Akbar's painting department was Abd al-Samad. There are 4 names Mughal paintings you should remember. Abd al-Samad was the person who headed Akbar's painting school. Okay, don't go into the finer details of this. Abd al-Samad, Akbar's period, mostly did the illustration of manuscripts. Okay, another 2 Hindu painters who trained under Abd al-Samad was Baswan and Daswant. Okay, these are the painters who are mentioned by name in Mughal records. Okay, these 3, Abd al-Samad, Baswan, Daswant, all from Akbar's period, they did mostly did the illustration of manuscripts. For example, Akbarnama. Okay, Akbarnama was illustrated by these painters. Okay, Akbarnama was written by Abul Faizi. Okay, and it was illustrated by Baswan and Daswant. Okay, right. Ustad Mansur was the most important painter during Jahangir's period. By Jahangir's period, the focus had shifted to portraits. Okay, you can ask that had shifted to portraits. So Ustad Mansur was Jahangir was very interested in painting of nature, and Ustad Mansur was a specialist. So he drew very exotic species, dodo, then Siberian crane. Then he had paintings of tulip. Okay, so all those works were by Ustad Mansur. Okay. Vedala Bhatta is a writer from ancient period, probably lived in Gupta period, not important, right? But these painters of Ustad Mansur, Abdul Samad, Baswan, and Daswant. These are the 4 names. These are the only 4 names that you should possibly study, right? Because they are mentioned by name in Mughal records. Question number 24. Consider following pairs: Thalop, Puan, Mizoram, Kentucky, Telangana, Puanche, Manipur. Today I had given a handout or study material regarding the GI tag. Okay. In the last portion, the GI tags of last year are given. You should go through that thoroughly. Okay, because there are high chances that question will be asked from that. These are all GI tags that were awarded last year. So Talopan is from Mizoram. Then Kentucky Sari is from Tamil Nadu, and Ponche is also from Mizoram. Okay, so the answer is 1 only. Okay. These are given in your handout. Just go through that. For GI tag, you cannot go into detail of each and every GI tag. Just read through it, understand where the state is. Okay, try to remember it. Don't by heart it. Just try to identify the regions so that approximately you can get the answer. That is the only possible way you can handle it, because there are so much GI tags. Okay, some of the GI tags you can connect easily. For example, a lot of GI tags are in the name of famous cities. You have Salem fabric, Kanjipuram. Then you have what, Mysore. Okay, so those you can, Benares. Those you can connect. But there are, focus on the obscure places and try to remember it. Don't by heart it. Just read through it. As much as you remember, that is okay. Okay. Which of the following religious site does not belong to Jainism? Question number 25. Sravana Belagola, Elephanta Caves, Dilwara Temple, Udayagiri and Kandagiri Caves. All names are given in NCERT. Okay. Elephanta Caves belong to, it's a World Heritage Site, belong to, you should know this, Buddhism and Hinduism. Mostly Hinduism and specifically Shaiva. Okay. Shaiva temples. Some small Buddhist caves are also there, right? All the other ones are the most famous Jain sites in India. Sravana Belagola in Karnataka, famous for the Gomateshwara statue. Okay, where every 12 years there is Mahamastaka. Okay, so very famous. The image of the statue is given in NCERT. Okay, famous for what? The Gomateshwara statue. Okay, Dilwara Temple, Mount Abu. Okay, example of the Solanki period of architecture. Very intricately carved Jain temple. Very famous also. Udayagiri and Kandagiri caves, most famous of Jain caves in eastern India. Okay, located in Odisha. Okay, I mentioned the difference. Udayagiri caves is from Madhya Pradesh. Okay, and they are mostly what, Vishnu caves, Vaishnavite caves, and from Gupta period. Udayagiri and Kandagiri are from a slightly earlier period, and they are in Odisha, and they are mostly dedicated to Jainism. Okay, so those are 2 different things. Remember that. Okay, so those are our 25 questions. Okay, thank you. We'll probably have a doubt clearing session. If you have any doubts, you can send to a number. We'll make a facility for that. Okay, because we did not have live sessions in the past 2 sessions, right? Okay, thank you.